Hello underwater friends. In today's video we're going to talk about... Oh, wait a second.
Hello Dad, I want to do underwater video and I don't know what equipment to get.
Okay, I guess you understood. We're going to talk about the different kind of equipment you can use to make underwater videos. So first off, we're going to talk about action cams. So action cams, the most common and the most famous one is the Gopro, but you can also have DJI that makes the Osmo, I think, and you can also use the Insta360, that is good action cam that you can use either at 360 or only using one of the camera and making it a normal action cam. So the good things about the action cams is that it's small. That's the first thing. It's quite small, you can fit in your pocket, and it's very easy to carry. You have it on you, you want to film something, and you're ready. Also, they are waterproof down to 10 meters most of the time. So even without housing or anything special, you can bring them to 10 meters. The price is also a good thing. Normally, you can find some around $300, maximum $400, which makes it affordable and very good for the price. They usually have a very good frame rate and also the resolution is good. The new action cams from GoPro, for example, have 5.3K and can go up to 120 frames per second. High frame means you can slow it down and do a very nice slow motion, and the big resolution makes it easy for you to crop it on post and then use either 4K or even Full HD and use only a part of your shot. So that's really nice. They all have housings. Normally, it's brand housing that is quite cheap. It's acrylic and you can go down to 40 meters with it. Also, you can have housings from different brands, more famous ones, but then the price is going to be as high or even higher as the price of the camera. But then more safety and aluminum built that will make it super strong. On the downside, the size of the sensor is quite small, so it makes a problem, especially in low light. You're gonna need to bump up the ISO, and then if you have a high ISO, you may have noise, which is not gonna be so nice. Another downside is that underwater, you may not be able to access all of the functions. Most of them now have a touch screen that will allow you to make changes and all of the settings. Underwater, you may only rely on one or two buttons, so it's going to be difficult to change the settings underwater. Final thing, there is no zoom or anything like this. So you have a wide angle, which is cool for big animals, wrecks, and even divers or snorkeler friends. But if you want to film smaller things, it's going to be more difficult. In the next video, I'm going to talk about the accessories you can put. There is a potential diopter that you can put in front. A diopter is like a magnification lens, but it doesn't work perfectly. And still, it's not really made for smaller things. So if you want to film small things, that's not the good choice. Yes, Valentin?
Yeah, but I want to film small animals.
Yeah, I understand. You live in Ahmed and you want to be able to film smaller things. Okay, let's talk about the next one. Next one is point and shoot. So you can find many good ones. Some of them are the Sony RX100, the Canon G7X, or the TG6 from Olympus. They are real good camera. I don't like the TG6 myself, but it's for different reasons. But they will do good things. Most of them will have a zoom. So that's one of the big advantages compared to the action cams. You can film everything you want. You can use it all the way wide angle and film divers or anything you want, and then you can zoom and decide to film smaller things, crabs, shrimps, or nudibranch, anything that you want. The price is average. It's a little bit more expensive than action cams, but you have a more flexible camera. For the housing, most of them will have housing from the brand, which are quite cheap, like you had for the action cam, but you can also purchase the ones that are more expensive from real good brands like CNC or Nauticam or whatever. The problem is that it's going to cost the price of the camera or more, but then you may have vacuum system sensor that will blink when a little bit of water gets in, and you're much safer with this. The sensor is bigger than for the action cam, and actually sometimes quite big, like for the RX100. There is an autofocus, and actually it can be quite good. Again, for the RX100. Believe me, I like the RX100. Actually, I made a video, if you want to check up there, where I say that for me, it's my favorite camera to bring underwater. For the frame per second and the size, it's maybe a little bit smaller and a little bit less frame per second than the action cams, but it's reliable and most of the time it's quite enough. So for me, for the flexibility, it's probably one of the best options, especially if you're a beginner and you don't want to spend tons of money on a bigger setup. You can also add some accessories to it to make it wider angle or to do macro that is smaller. So it's a really good thing. Yes, Valentin?
And your equipment, what is it?
Okay, now we're gonna talk about the big setup like the one I have. Personally, I use a Sony A7r3, which is a little bit old already, but a great camera. I can film 4K, I can do 60 frames per second on Full HD, only 30 on 4K. But the sensor is a full frame sensor and I can get really, really nice shots. The good advantage with DSLR and mirrorless is the sensor. The sensor is great and it's a good quality, big, and it's really good. Also a big advantage is the autofocus that is going to be unbeatable, except for the RX100 from Sony, but again, different story. But to bring this underwater, it's going to be difficult. First, you need the camera, which is quite expensive. Then you will need to buy lenses. So if you want to do wide angle and macro, you'll need 2 lenses. You will need a housing. That's going to be a housing from the brand, which is about the price of the camera itself. You need a dome port for wide angle, you need a macro port for macro. So it's a budget. It's very expensive. And even without bringing light, tripod or anything extra that you may need, you're talking about thousands of dollars and quite a few thousand. So it's expensive. It's not as flexible as the compact camera because you have to choose before the dive what you want to take. So you go on a macro dive and a manta ray passes by. Well, too bad. You may film the eye, but you're going to be limited to it. But when you're with the good setup, that's amazing the quality you can get. The housings are of very good quality and they will have vacuum system that I highly recommend, even if it's an extra add-on to the price of the housing. They will also bring you super deep if you want, and it's really, really good quality. Of course, the cameras are robust. They're professional or semi-pro cameras, so you can bring them on so many dives and it's always going to be okay. Just the technology is going to get better and maybe you won't have enough frames per second or stuff like this, but the camera itself is going to work for a very long time. On the downside, the price, of course, it's very expensive, and also the size. If you want to travel, it's easier to travel with a GoPro or a point-and-shoot camera than with a big camera. Big camera plus big housing plus dome port plus etc. etc. It makes it very big. So I guess I answered all of your questions, Valentin, right?
Thank you, Dad. I think I understood everything.
Well, that's gonna cost me an arm and a leg. Well, if he makes nice video and better than me, I'll be happy. Okay, I hope you liked this video. Don't hesitate to come see us in Amed, in Bali, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye bye, happy bubbles!